From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those Grid Life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does the
have,
Sentinel system do?
we could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
Dominating with Dawson.
Ben Dawson, I need me some Ben Dawson.
Yes.
And Vicki.
Hello.
Hello. So, Mr. Dawson, you and I were playing on the internets, the interwebs, and I think I saw an article that you, I think, had already seen, but, you know, me being me, I was a little slower and trying to catch up. So I sent it to you, and you're like, yeah, I read that. I'm already done. But it was a pretty cool article, and I don't think we've actually talked about it, even on the passing series, which we're overdue to do part 3 with, with our buddy Blake. Randy Pobst, friend of the podcast, an article on Grassroots Motorsports, awesome magazine.
Yep.
About how to pass when you are the slower car.
Yeah.
And I think Vicki's going to have a puzzled face, but then she'll understand because she does it already.
Yep.
Everybody knows we have the slower car, and we do occasionally pass people. So Ben, I don't think we need to review Randy's article. It's available on the interweb. But what would you do if you were in a slower car? And most of the time, you're not probably the fastest car out there as a car, but you may be one of the faster cars out there as a result of the combined you and the car. But what do you do when you run into a car that just has you with speed? Like, you know, I always think speed, like the Save the Tatas car, is just a beast.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything I read in the article really rang true for me from my own lived experience as somebody who used to race a Miata forever. And that was a Miata that nobody really done anything. Not even talking about like snappy ass spec Miata kind of power or anything like that. This was like a super mid terrible Miata. And so we're never the fastest car at the track, but often we had to pass a lot of the cars that weren't being driven as well as our car was with that Miata. And it's just it's the HPDE hellhole or something like that he called it too. I think did not see that in the article, but it was it's the sort of thing where I think I remember my first ever DE event. I was in the novice group with the cars with like 4 or 5 times by horsepower, just passing everybody. I think maybe 1 or 2 cars passed me out that whole weekend. It's just because I was a lot more committed than they were, but I was also in a slower car. And it just gets worse the more unregulated the passing is. Because if you show up on somebody's back bumper in a DE, their instructor is going to make you, all right, let this Miata go by. But when you start negotiating your own unregulated passes and contested passes with a car with less power, or just I guess ultimately less top speed, or maybe have less aero or stuff like that. But I think in this case we're really talking about a car that's underpowered, trying to get by a car that walks them down the straightaway. It's a tough situation, and it's pretty much AKA tough situation, AKA story of my life. It's funny. I even before I read that article, I had just gone back and was kind of looking through some footage of one of the last races we did with that Miata. It was a chump car race on VIR North, which you get a couple of good long straightaways, but there's a lot of kind of lot more twisty stuff on that course than the full course. So you get a little bit better chance to kind of use your Miata-ness. But I think there were a couple of BMWs. Yeah, there were a couple of BMWs that weren't being driven well, but had significantly more power than our Miata. It was an E30 that I think had an M50 in it, so it had a little bit better edge. And there was also an E36, and they were both just being driven badly, like drive off the track and hog pin, be passing me right back down the turn one, that kind of thing. It's like I spent laps and laps and laps trying to catch and pass these people, and then they would just come bombing right back down the straightaway. It's so frustrating because like I feel like I'm in danger of being near you, and you're so irritating on track. Like I just got to get by and get going, right? Do you guys know that feeling?
Oh yeah,
100%. And it's tough. It's tough. I think a lot like Randers said in the article. You probably, especially if it's somebody that's walking you down the straightaway, you're probably going to have some time on the approach to think about how am I better than this car? What am I doing better? I'm catching them, but you're probably also not just going to be like zooming right up to the back door. So you probably have a little bit of time, a couple laps for analysis. Like, okay, where am I really beating this car? And bad news for you if it's on the way into turn 7 at Road Atlanta, because they're just going to walk you right out the back door going down the back straight. So hopefully you're going to be able to combine maybe a strength on top of the strength, like you're braking way better into the S, or whatever the next twisty section is, so that you can use your better brakes and then use your better handling to maybe build a little bit of a gap. And in my experience, it might take a couple of times getting by the person. Have y'all ever experienced that?
Yes. And yeah, there's a couple more parts to it too, because you've got to be able to stay there, because it doesn't make sense to do all that work, get the timing just right, and then get to a half-mile long straightaway and they just go buzzing right by you again.
It doesn't. You're still building up track position. Even if the person walks you by a significant amount, you're going to be a little bit closer the next time around. I mean, it feels futile to get to make a pass and then not have it stick, but you've leapfrogged yourself a little bit up on them, and that car is kind of seeing like, oh, I got to watch out for this person. So you've done some psychological damage to that driver already, and you're already kind of living in their head. And so even if you get repassed, you can just be right on the bumper and waiting for them to make a mistake, or you can just pass them back at a different part of the track that gives you a little bit better advantage, or you might be able to pass them when traffic gives you a better advantage, where you're going to stuff the 2 slow cars behind you, and then that car's going to have to pass both of them before they can really start using their power on the straightaway. And that might be the kind of thing that lets you get one more straightaway, one more clear straightaway ahead, and then they can't touch you. All you need is to kind of get a certain amount of a gap to where suddenly your lap time will overcome their momentary advantage in horsepower. Does that make sense?
That's what Vicki does every race.
Yeah, I try my best.
Yeah, so it's tough. It takes some strategy and it takes some good luck with traffic, but the kind of endurance racing that all of us do, luckily traffic is a kind of bogey that can work in your favor. If I can stick that fast Mustang behind that Astro van that's got canoe paddles sticking out of it, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. It doesn't have to be pretty. If I can use my cunning and wits to show up more horsepower than I have, then I'll use that.
So before Miss Vicki gets in there, if you're the type of person who's getting frustrated by this and it's an HPDE, and as Vicki knows, I believe we are the first couple to win the national championship of HPDE. So, I'm not sure.
You are so full of crap.
But anyway, If you're the type of person who's going to get cranky about that and start getting upset about that, and even maybe red misty, and it's an HPDE, there's this concept of pulling into the pit,
Mhm.
giving
Mhm.
them the hand wave, which is your hands going back and forth like you're almost clapping, telling the pit guy that you just want to make a little bit of room. And then you don't have to
Mhm.
do it. There's no sense in getting mad. Now, if we're talking about a race, probably not the best path, but it is an
Yeah,
option for the HBD crowd.
I was watching that video of me and that Miata just passing these people over and over again to have them blow back by me on the straightaway, and like they would go by, and I'd be waving my hand where they could see it out the window, like what's happening? Like I'm waving at, like, well, you're crazy. Why are you passing me? I'm just going to pass you right back. I'm just going to embarrass you over and over, and I did. It was frustrating and fun. Looking at the video, I'm like, I'm going nuts and go like, what the are you doing?
That's right.
Well, there. I can't believe people want to pass you, Ben, but whatever. Miss Vicki,
Yes.
what do you do? Because typically we are not the most powerful car out there.
You know, I just we run along the straightaway and we lose everything on the straightaway. We go through and try to make all of our passes if we're in the smaller car in the turns. But again, when you get little red misty and you get upset about it, like Bill said, you pull into, you either wave them by or you pull them in, and then you try to do your best to catch up with them again. But
What if
it's
it's a
always,
race? So you're not going to
well,
pull into the pit then?
no. The one thing about the race is there's little crafts and card techniques to deal with that. My favorite thing is to not necessarily box, but when the faster people come through,
Just
is
say it. You
to,
box them. Just say it.
you know what? I
You
don't
do.
box. There is a car craft, yes, but I don't purposely do it to be a jerk. But I do look at opportunities that will give me an advantage. And sometimes if there is a lot of traffic and faster cars, not so much in my grouping, because when you race at like an endurance races like we do, you're segmented into groups, A, Bs, and Cs. So depending on where you're at, and trains are great. I've always been a big advocate of trains. When the fast cars go through, they leave an opening, and that is an opportunity for you to make some gains while the person or your opponent could be stuck up with somewhere.
Yep.
You basically have to look for opportunities when you're on the track, and if somebody's just riding you and you can't you just pull over and let them go by. But
You know
yeah,
what she just said there, Ben?
I did, yeah.
You know what she didn't say that she meant to say, but she's way too nice a person to say it.
what?
I just take advantage of when the guy in front of me or the girl in front of me messes up in traffic, and then I just box them and they sit behind me and I just pass them and I giggle my whole way with the button pushed
Well,
on the
yeah,
radio,
I don't
just
listen.
just laughing and
Do
laughing,
you
saying,
gloat?
"You should see what I just did."
Don't
Do you
do it to
radio
be a
gloat?
jerk, but I do. But when you're in a slightly less
Underpowered.
powerful car, underpowered, you have to take advantage of what's on the track. There's just no other
Oh
way
yeah.
around it if you want to compete.
I mean, I've been to
You got to
I've
be
been to the
slick.
dyno. I've been to the dyno 0 times in my life, so I'm always having to do stuff like that because I'm never gonna have the most power either.
Yeah,
I also heard you say the fast cars go zooming through. They might punch a hole in traffic that you can
they
suddenly
do.
use that your buddy might not be able to use. You might be able to use before your buddy, and then hope the hole close up behind the faster car. That's a legit technique. Like, hey, I'm gonna ride these coattails through this group of traffic that I wasn't able to punch through with my 100 horsepower, and they're able to zip right through with their 300. But I can kind of ride
Yeah,
the weight. I can
but
ride the way through there.
that can give you several car lengths ahead, right in a very
Oh
crucial
yeah,
part. And
exactly.
it could give you a lead and an edge up. But those are because
I heard you say that.
I've had underperforming cars where I had to, like, if I can't get past this car, how am I going to get past this car? And that's how you got to do it. But if they're riding you and you can't get past and you're still doing, just you have that ability, just not be a jerk and let them go.
But do
Yes.
you have to push the button on the radio and cackle the entire way you're doing it?
No.
I'm just wondering, is that required?
I love
No,
that.
and I don't flip them off either, unless it's my sister. But that's a joke between us.
The one thing you don't want to do with Miss Vicki is have your car break down or go off and have her drive by, because she is the most foul Navy sailor.
I am
Christian
not.
She is too. She's giving the
God.
Okay.
bird. She's waving at people. She's going.
No,
"Sucks
no.
to
If
be
it's my
you."
own group and somebody's off, I may like honk at them and flip them off. If it's my own team, just like messing around, having a good time.
Apparently, her team is every racer on the
No,
track.
it is not.
It's a team effort. It's a team effort out there, guys. It is a team effort. Everybody's involved.
It is. It is. Yes, but when you're in a slightly underpowered car, then you do have to use strategy at that point.
Absolutely. Strategy.
And
It does.
cackle.
You know what? Sometimes it takes you away from the power and just driving under power to just being clever at that point.
Yeah, well, I think that's true. And also, let me tell you another little secret. If you're somebody who's gotten good at driving a slow car fast,
Mm-hmm.
that the person who has the power advantage is likely used to that power and used to that power kind of pulling them out of any situation.
Yes.
And that person, just my own lived experience tells me that the driver of a pretty powerful car
Mm-hmm.
may not know all the tricks you've learned in an underpowered car. So you may be way better than them in some sections just by being a better driver, and it had nothing to do with their power. So you kind of get a double whammy. Yes, they're going to be faster on power. I also think they are inherently usually not quite as good drivers, unless it's like a spec Miata driver who jumped into a more powerful car. Then you're fucked.
Hate those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
All right.
those are my opinions on it.
You know what, then?
That's good stuff.
I think we left some stuff out. I think maybe the listeners might have some ideas that we just forgot.
And
Sure. I'd love to hear from them.
That would be awesome. GarageYearsAndTraining@gmail.com or the social medias.
Yes.
That would be
Yep.
great. Dominic Dawson
Well,
in the books.
yeah.